Welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special. Prior to the 6th Pay Commission, the average salary hike for the armed forces over a 10-year period were in the range of around 3%. But that changed substantially with the recommendations of the 6th Pay Commission that proposed near doubling of the salaries.
I retired in the month of July 2005 with the pay of 17,100 rupees, maximum pay. I'm not talking about the DA, etc., etc. I'm not talking about that. But maximum pay of 17,100, which implied that my pension would be 50% of that. That is 9,000 odd rupees. That was what my pension was fixed in the month of July 2005. The 6th Pay Commission came into effect on 1st of January 2006. So I was not benefited by any of the awards of the 6th Pay Commission. I'll give you a small example. On retirement, I got a gratuity of 3.5 lakhs. The 6th Pay Commission increased it to 10 lakhs. I missed out on that. You get 300 days of leave encashment, which you have accumulated. I got it at the rate of 17,100 rupees. As per the award of the 6th Pay Commission, any colonel with my age, with my service and my rank and my length of service suddenly catapulted from 17,100 to 35,000. That was a major difference.
Adding insult to injury, a special exception was made for the IAS cadre in 2008 through the non-functional upgradation scheme. Under the scheme, an entire batch of IAS officers in the elite crew pay services were automatically upgraded to higher pay if one of them got promoted. This exception was made for all the central government officers in the apex scale who earn 80,000 rupees or more per month. Moreover, one rank, one pension was guaranteed in the elite category, such that their pensions would always be calculated on the basis of the existing officers' pay in the revised apex scale categories determined by the pay commissions. While this scale also incidentally includes the 3 defense chiefs, army commanders and lieutenant generals among others, but owing to the steep pyramid in the armed forces, only a minuscule percentage of officers reach that level. In contrast, over 95% or more of the IAS officers reach the apex scale by the time of retirement. The IAS military standoff has in fact been the clear subtext of the protests.
You make this interesting point of, this clash between the IAS lobby and the services. This is actually one of the very key issues that is driving this demand. The military always has tended to feel that the IAS is favored when compared with the military, that they are given preferential rank status, that they are given higher pay grades and so on. And when you look at the structure of pension for the IAS, where a large number of people who join the IAS make it to the apex band, and the apex band is the 80,000 rupee per month salary scale, which has always effectively got one rank, one pension. When the military sees the IAS benefiting from this and they don't get it on their own, then that reinforces all those prejudices that they're discriminating.
Disgruntled, in 2008, the ex-servicemen decided to start a new forum to protest against what they saw was an injustice, the Indian Ex-Services Movement. The name of the new forum was subtly changed from that of the Indian Ex-Services League, or the IESL, which is funded and controlled by the Ministry of Defence. For the last 7 years, the Indian Ex-Services Movement has been demanding a correction to the anomaly in pay scales created by the 6th Pay Commission.
In 2011, UPA2 government finally sought to fix this anomaly by making a one-time adjustment. That's how the overall pensions level increased for the ex-servicemen. But despite that, the disparity continued. That year, BJP MP Bhagat Singh Koshyari committee proposed to the government the adoption of the OROP. And in less than 2 years thereafter, BJP's prime ministerial candidate Narendra Modi promised one rank, one pension if he were elected.
Everyone who matters in this country has promised us. I see no reason why they should backtrack. There's just no reason.
Is it disturbing at the fact that how politicized this issue has now become? Because it was the Congress government in one of their, in the 2014 budget had allocated a paltry 500 crore rupees that was set aside for this. Then Arun Jaitley in his first budget set aside another paltry sum of about 1,000 crore rupees. Nobody seems to understand the extent of this problem.
No, the problem is very clear. We have said if you have a problem, tell us what is it. Where does it pain you? What is hurting you? We have the solution. We know what we are asking for. We know what are its implications. We know what the solutions are. Then why don't you open up with us? You mean to say a Prime Minister of the country cannot give us date? Then he'll announce it? Is it so secretive, or he doesn't know what he's talking about?
It seems the government's delay in implementing OROP stems purely from a gross miscalculation. For instance, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley's first budget in 2014 allocated 1,000 crore rupees for OROP, which though was double of what UPA's vote on account budget set aside. It was, however, far below its own estimates. According to Ministry of Defence, the OROP would cost the Exchequer 8,293 crore rupees. This year alone, the defence-related pensions is expected to be around 54,500 crore rupees. And with more than 55,000 servicemen retiring every year, the fiscal hit could be significant. According to Ajay Shukla, the pension bill could reach up to 75,000 crore rupees if full OROP is granted, which is barely 18,000 crore rupees less than the salary bill.
And what makes it even more complex and even more worrying is that it's open-ended going into the future. If you allocate or you say that we won't pay any arrears at all, we will only implement this with prospective effect, and you cap it at about 10,000 or 15,000 crores, it's not going to remain 10 or 15,000 crores. Each time a DA increment is given to the pensioners or to the serving people, each time the pay commission increases salaries of serving people, the pensions will go up as well. So it's a larger amount than what had been initially anticipated, a far larger amount, and it's open-ended.
Worryingly for the government, it could face a resource crunch this fiscal. This year, the government's gross tax revenue is expected to clock growth of just 6% to around 14.5 lakh crore rupees. And with the implementation of the recommendations of the 14th Finance Commission, it will have to share up to 42% of its kitty with the states. This year, the Finance Minister set aside 2.46 lakh crore rupees, or 7.7% of the GDP, though defence allocation saw an increase of around 7% over previous year, but 50% of the hike will go into paying salaries to existing soldiers and officers. That is estimated to be at around 93,000 crore rupees.
I don't think it's correct to, through some statistical or financial or accounting jugglery, de-link military pensions from the military budget. Manpower is a cost of the military, just like equipment is and training is, and pensions are an integral cost of manpower. The minute you start viewing it holistically, you will start then evaluating your manpower policy in a more realistic manner.
However, the armed forces have disputed the pension figures doled out by experts and the government. According to a report in the India Today magazine, the army has calculated that pensions as a percentage of GDP has actually dipped from 0.54% of the GDP in 1999-2000 to 0.38% in 2014-15. Worryingly for the government, OROP to the armed forces could also be legitimately demanded by other paramilitary and border security forces, even though they retire at a later age.
I don't see any way that they can give one rank, one pension to the military and deny it to the other services. They will have to pay it.
Experts say that before making the solemn promise, BJP paid scant attention to OROP spillover effects. The miscalculation is now hurting the government severely.
The incompetent handling of this issue has led, as I said, there are people who belong to the military who are agitating, who are conducting a political agitation. So that itself obviously is a bad sign, very bad sign. Tomorrow there could be some issue in which uniformed people, serving people could agitate. And then it's a very small, it's a slippery slope towards the participation of the military in politics.
To get the government perspective, I reached out to Sambit Patra, the combative spokesperson for the Bharatiya Janata Party. I asked him whether the government indeed was developing cold feet on the OROP issue.
Not at all. I would not say that the government is developing a cold feet on the OROP issue, because had that been the case, the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, would not have, on various platforms, reiterated the fact that we stand philosophically and principally with the OROP. Principally, this government is committed to roll out the OROP, and this is a statement made by the Prime Minister on various occasions.
But sir, I don't need to tell you, but you saw the backlash that happened post the 15th August speech. Clearly the people who were protesting in Jantar Mantar were expecting a more definitive promise. Tell me one thing, Dr. Patra, isn't it a fact that now only in retrospect the government, the BJP government is realizing the enormity of the task? When the promise was made first time in 2013, clearly no calculations were made.
See, as far as the backlash were concerned, I can well feel the pain, and I can well feel the kind of situation our ex-servicemen are going through. It's but natural that they are very disturbed. It's but natural that their right has not been given to them. And I say, just as the Supreme Court had said way back in '83, that pension is not a dole that the government is giving out. It's a right of the ex-servicemen, and this government stands by it. And that's the reason as to why there was some backlash. But please, you have to understand that 40 years versus 1 year. As far as the calculations are concerned, the government of the day should have made the calculation. This government has come to power. This government is making the calculations, and I'm sure most of the things must have been sought out. That's the reason as to why the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, and the Defence Ministers have maintained that, in fact, it is not going to be long. It's going to be within, a matter of small time that this is going to be rolled out.
Dr. Patra, I ask you this because one wonders whether the government did any serious due diligence or not, because the first budget that Arun Jaitley presented, he had set aside about 1,000 odd crore rupees. That is 1/8 of what the OROP cost that your own government, that that the Defence Ministry has made. So clearly it seems that not a lot of thought, not even a back of the envelope calculation was made before making such an explicit promise.
No, I would disagree with this fact. Going by how Mr. Modi works, going by how Mr. Modi goes into the nitty-gritty of things, I'm sure that the Prime Minister must have done the kind of calculations that you are saying before promising it, and he understands the situation. Moreover, the Prime Minister maintains firmly that on principle the party agrees with the fact, the government agrees with the fact that a right of the ex-servicemen should be granted to them. Which way, how, these are calculations, these are the small details I believe the government is working out. I, as a spokesperson of the party, cannot comment to what the government is doing, nor am I privy to what the government is doing. But I am sure the kind of reiteration that the Prime Minister has given, it would be a truth very soon.
With the 7th Pay Commission around the corner, many fear that the pay disparity between the existing servicemen and the ex-servicemen would only widen. But whatever the government chooses to do, one only hopes and prays that the ex-servicemen who've served this country selflessly for years can spend their retired lives in the comforts of their home, not outside in the heat and dust of Jantar Mantar. In New Delhi, this is Ronojoy Banerjee.